He's supplementing. Oh, that's a good convergence. 3 members of Stush all pulled together. Hats off to VCon there.
Alright, hi. I'm back, I guess. Yeah, I didn't actually think I'd ever make a video like this. But here we are. And with this tweet that I'm sure now a lot of you have seen in recent days, it seems to be making a little bit of buzz in the Paladins and high-risk communities. I thought I'd weigh in and give my 2 cents on the matter. For a little bit of context as to maybe new people who have stumbled across my channel thanks to this video. My name is VCon. I am an ex-PCL and PCS support player, former GM on console. So I consider myself qualified to be able to talk about the game in its previous states. I might not know as much about the game currently as I used to, but I have, as you can see from the clips in the beginning of the video, have been playing again. There are a few things that I would like to talk about and would like noted on the game. Not that anybody asked me, but I thought I'd just put it out there anyway. The first and most important thing for me would be a complete overhaul of the game engine. I would assume this is the main driving factor in making a Paladins 2 in air quotation marks. Mainly because of the silly decisions made early on in the game's life cycle. The idea of spaghetti coding, as they like to call it, where they constantly wrote over the top of the coding before because no one really knew how the coding worked, which obviously led to a lot of bugs, a lot of patches that got long delays due to making single changes in the game and it becoming completely unplayable. And this was different from PTS 2 core game. So some things would work on the PTS server perfectly fine and then would not translate at all to the main game. So yeah, I think a massive, massive factor in that would be a complete overhaul of the engine. Obviously, it would also lead to less problems from building upon the poor foundations that have been left behind, such as removing of problem mechanics. They made the stupid decision early on in the game's lifecycle to remove kill cams because it was causing bugs but instead of actually removing the kill cam from the game, they just hid it for 5 patches with a black screen. So you couldn't actually see what you could still hear it in the background. You couldn't see what was going on, but you could still hear it going on. So I feel the second point of topic that I would like to discuss, and I feel many people will probably call me out on this, but I don't think they should remove the cast of characters. I don't think they should change that. Whilst I personally prefer a smaller cast and prefer the game to go back to the pre-OB64 state, if anyone remembers that, there are many people whose favourite characters have come out in recent years, I'm sure, and would be most disappointed if their character wasn't translated across into a newer game. I don't think every character has to be in the game from release, and I do think there needs to be changes to certain characters, whether that be revamping their kits or their designs completely so that they fit better within the aesthetic of the game, and slowly staggering out the releases of characters again. But there have been many characters, especially when you look at the game from a competitive point of view, that have been walking a fine line their entire life. One buff makes them completely overpowered, and one nerf makes them completely worthless and useless, and they can't even be run. So I feel that a massive change needs to be taken on that stance. And on top of that, I think the idea of keeping the creativity within the loadouts, I've seen a lot of talk about removing loadouts and changing the card system up, which I personally don't think is a good idea. I don't think that should ever change, mainly due to the fact that it really adds to the idea of, like, this is my playstyle, this is how I want to play the character. You can have the meta, like, top tier way of playing the character, and then you can also have, like, fun, gimmicky sort of styles of decks, and I think they need to bring that sort of creativity back into decks, whilst removing problem cards within the loadouts, such as faster ult charges or cooldowns on elimination reductions, especially on support and DPS characters. Like, those cards are absolutely ludicrous on those characters. You can make so many characters just spam their ultimate 24/7 or constantly have abilities up 24/7, so like they never have cooldowns. That isn't how it should work. The game should be based around using your cooldowns effectively to help improve fights, not just spam abilities into something, get all your cooldowns back because you managed to do so much damage and team wipe the team. It will also help to prevent snowballing comps, which is especially important in things like ranked, where teams can get steamrolled so much quicker where if the skill balance is off slightly. Which quite nicely leads me into my next topic. A revamping of the matchmaking system, like removing the idea of forcing a 50-50% win rate for both teams, or trying to get as close to it as possible, and focusing rather on the idea of the rank you have actually matters. I don't want to be, for example, a GM level player with a plat player on my team because my win rate's too high and it's the only way to make a balanced game. So that scenario only ever like breeds toxicity. It causes the good players, in quotation marks, to get toxic at the worst players because they don't play the game the same way that you do or you want them to, which can lead to like a lot of frustrating moments or misunderstandings or miscommunications within teammates. And then it just causes the bad players to call out the good players for cheating because they're unable to understand how big of a skill gap it is between someone in a Diamond 2 level player and a Plat 2 level player. In order to like focus in on this, like there were many players previously, and probably still are, I haven't really looked at the leaderboards, that had a 50% win rate and were in GM. I don't think that should be possible. I don't think you should be able to climb with a 50-50 win rate. Like, if you have a 50-50 win rate, that means you are at the level you should be. You should not be climbing or getting worse. And if you're losing too many games, you should be demoting quicker. And if you're winning too many games, you should be promoting faster. Which they kind of have, but having recently done my placements on PC, and okay, I'm not the best PC player, especially after like switching from a controller to mouse and keyboard, I got placed in Silver 3. But I did climb eventually. I had to have a 66% win rate, and it was really slow to get out of the silver ranks. And eventually I climbed all the way up to diamond within like a week of playing the game again, and obviously using a foreign input. I might push on further, but we don't know yet. I also don't really like the argument that many people have towards this of, like, oh, I'm a support main, I can't climb because I can't carry my games. I'm a tank player, my DPS are useless, I can't win, I can't carry games. Like, I am a former top 100 and GM player, and I have done that climb in every single role in the game, including to the point where I made it so hard for myself that I played Pip only and still managed to get to GM. So having a good understanding of how to play the game, having good awareness, and make sure that you have impact on your games is how you climb the game faster. Of course, it's frustrating, you're not going to win every game, it's a 5v5, sometimes your teammates will throw. But you have more of an impact on that game than you realize. If you are constantly making the right decisions, you will win the game, because that's just how it works. There are very, very few games where you will make all the right decisions and you will lose the game. Unless you are literally just have 4 other teammates that are feeding constantly. So climbing is possible on all ranks. It just needs to be making it so like you have a higher win rate to get to the higher ranks. And then once you have like the higher players in higher ranks, you'll find that the matchmaking will be better if you just keep it tighter. So rather than allowing plat players into GM games and GM lobbies, for the sake of balance, there should only be GM, Masters, and maybe a high diamond in that lobby at best. And that should really be it. You should never really be 2 ranks away from the highest and the lowest point in the rank. How do you keep people playing? Because obviously a big issue is that a lot of people will sort of fall away from rank. They won't want to keep playing when they've grinded and they've hit their rank, they've hit what they consider their peak. How do you keep them there? Because playing for a border that doesn't even look as good as the old borders you used to put out, and isn't limited only to the players who finish in that rank, as long as you peak at that rank, so if you peak Masters, you get the Masters border. Even if you finish the season in Diamond, you get the Masters border for peaking Masters. I don't think that's how it should work. These things should be finite, they should be limited, and these players should be rewarded for getting to these ranks and having the dedication to maintain these ranks, more than just sitting there and only playing through decay. I think decay should happen faster to keep players playing more. The more players that are playing in the higher ranks and only matching with the higher ranked players, the quicker you'll see that more people will play and continue to play. A big issue is that a lot of players will get boosted to ranks they don't deserve by having a poor win rate and being put into these win rates with these good players that have really high win rates. And these high win rate players are having to carry these games so hard to the point where it's burning them out and they don't actually want to play ranked. It becomes unfun. So implementing something to keep players playing whilst keeping the matchmaking more balanced in ranked will go a long way to making the ranked experience more enjoyable. So a big pet peeve of mine with Paladins in the recent years, especially, it's mainly one of the reasons I actually quit playing for a long time, is they forced out as much content as they could as quickly as possible to make as much money as possible. Now I know that Paladins wasn't the most profitable game for them, so they've said. I know that the idea of a free-to-play game is to make money, and I don't ever objectify against that. But making poor quality consumables, skins, all of these things just as quickly as you can to turn a profit, and treating the game like a cash cow has done nothing but take away from the time that could have been used to develop the game further. A common argument that gets used against this is that the teams that do the gameplay and the teams that do the skins and stuff like that are 2 different teams. And of course they are. So I would like to see a higher focus on the stability of the game and the way the game is ran from the ground up. That includes everything from making sure that the skins that are put into the game are higher quality, better prepared, and actually work as they are supposed to and look how they are supposed to in-game, rather than the quick recolors and rehashes and rushed ideas that look horrible, and some of them which just cause way too many bugs. Like, there shouldn't be implementing a skin and it cause 1,000,001 bugs to the game, to the point where certain characters and certain skins have to become disabled for long periods of time. Just shouldn't be how it works. And this is also a more selfish point on this topic. Please remove the 3D modeling. It looks horrible. Bring back splash arts. 3D modeling looks so cheap and so tacky compared to the splash arts, which actually looked good and looked like they had a lot of time and effort put into them. Like, I get it, they're more expensive to create, but the 3D modeling looks horrible. So please, please, please bring back splash arts, especially on the loading screens. Okay. Please stop using easy anti-cheat. Every game that has it, it's never been effective in. Every game that uses it is riddled with cheaters. Like, easy anti-cheat should just be called easy way to cheat. The game is riddled with them currently. Like, I've been playing for about a week now, having returned to the game, and the amount of people that are able to, like, cheat on a whim is so ridiculous. It's more than in any other game. Like, I played for a 3-4 hours the other night, and we played against the same 5 cheaters about 6 times, and not once did their accounts get flagged. Like, some of them were like level 400 and cheating on and off, like throughout the game, being able to toggle on their cheats mid-game and it not get detected or get shut down or their account get reported. Like, it's ridiculous how many people cheating. So please, please, please use a better anti-cheat and have more severe punishments to the people that are cheating in your game regularly. If someone loads up your game for the first time and they jump into a lobby where not only are there like 1,000,001 people smurfing already, which is an issue you'll probably never be able to get rid of, but then on top of that, they get to go and play another game, and that game is full of like 3 or 4 cheaters that are speed hacking or aimbotting around the map, or possibly doing both at the same time. They are not going to have a fun time. They are not going to want to continue to play your game or put money into your product because they can't do anything. They can't play the game. Or what they're going to do is they're going to go out there and cheat as well, because it's the only way that they can see to compete with these people. So please implement a better anti-cheat system. On that topic as well, accounts and people that have been found to have multiple offenses of cheating and accounts being banned from cheating should have a more severe punishment. Things like an IP ban should be issued to people who have, of course, been found guilty multiple times, which in turn will reduce the amount of toxicity from players calling better players than them cheaters, because the actual cheaters are being taken care of. So this one is a personal request of mine, and I'm sure that there are many other players over the years who will have agreed or have agreed or still agree with this topic. But please give me a way to transfer my account from console to PC and PC to console and vice versa. Like, there is no reason why I shouldn't be able to take my progress that I have worked hard on and my account that is of a certain level and stature and known within the community and move it across platforms, other than the fact that you just want me to start again and spend more money. It's not the most difficult process. There are many other games that allow me to just have a linked account that works across all the platforms that they provide their game and service on. There is no reason why Paladins can't do that. There is no reason why Paladins shouldn't do that. And personally, it is one of the biggest gripes, and it should not be a one-time thing. It should be open throughout the entire game's life cycle. I should be able to move my PS4 account and connect it to my Steam account, and those 2 accounts should therefore be linked. All of the progress from my console account should be linked to my PC account. Now, however you have to do that to get around whatever Sony and Microsoft and yada yada yada, whatever like barriers you want to put in the way of that, whatever you have to do to get around that, you do to get around that. Because it is not fair for the players who have spent years on their console or PC accounts to have all of their stuff locked away and gone from them, all the money they've spent, every skin that they've earned or won or anything like that, locked away, and they can't use it ever again. So yeah, personally, I would like to see the ability to link my account and have my progress follow me through. Let's address the elephant in the room. One of the biggest reasons I left playing Paladins and left the scene entirely is due to the lack of competitive scene. Once my biggest motivation for playing the game had disappeared, there was no longer a point for me to want to compete anymore. So yes, I do agree that there needs to be a competitive scene back, and I do think that Paladins owes a lot to its competitive scene and players who still compete and still try to put on tournaments regularly for Paladins in keeping the game alive. Because without it, I actually don't think the game would have lasted to the point where it has. Although a lot of people will be annoyed at those type of players because they want to play the game in a certain way, I think they are fundamentally important to the game. However, I don't think that Paladins or Paladins 2 or Hi-Rez or Evil Mojo should jump into making a immediate Paladins competitive scene again. Instead, rather than jumping straight on board like they did before and quickly rushing up to get as much hype and as much money as they could from it by taking as many different streaming deals and things like that that ultimately killed the scene off entirely, they should naturally allow the game to grow. They should allow the game to grow through the competitive scene whilst supporting the competitive scene in any way that they see fit. This should be from helping them with casters, helping them produce prize pools and things of that nature, hyping it up, helping tweet it out, helping show their support to the community that has helped them for so long keep this game going. By doing that, you will naturally begin to grow a competitive scene, and once it begins to flourish properly this time around, rather than just forcing it to happen as quickly as possible and then taking as much money from it as quickly as possible and then leaving again, there will be a more sustainable ground from grassroots up that allows the game to keep a competitive scene over a longer period of time. Anyway, that is my video. Those are my thoughts. Not that anyone again asked for them. I just felt like since I was playing the game again and I had played the game previously to a high level, I'd give my thoughts, my 2 cents, my opinions. Please feel free to agree with me or disagree in the comments if you do. I'd love to hear what other people are thinking about the game and what other people would like to see from the game should it ever materialize. Not that it will. I mean, it's not like they made this exact tweet pretty much a year ago and announced Smite 2 recently, did they? I don't know, just something to think about. Anyway, as always, guys, I appreciate all of you who have come to watch, all of you that have come back to watch, or all of you that have clicked on this for the first time. And I will see you later.